0.18 of a second ahead.
Still leading, looking very good in this run. So far, a mistake-free performance by Canada's Cary Mullen. Yes, he has done it! Cary Mullen takes the lead by 0.05. He may well have claimed his first World Cup downhill.
I think ski racing is a bit of a metaphor for what's happening in the economy right now and what's happening in business and in our lives. I think there's some new corners we need to negotiate, some new bumps and jumps we don't know what's on the other side of. And I think nowadays it feels a little bit like we're all going 97 miles an hour or 151 kilometers an hour. So I feel privileged to be invited here to share a little bit of my experience.
After being on the squad a couple of years, I finally qualified to race in Kitzbuhel, Austria. Now I want to take you to Kitzbuhel, Austria right now, the most feared and famed downhill in the world. And as we go there, I hope you think about maybe some of the things we're hesitating on. When it's your first time to Kitzbuhel, you take the Autobahn. But as you go up the Hahnenkamm and then you step into the start gate of Kitzbuhel to have an inspection run, a look at this course you've been dreaming about your whole life, you click into your skis and you look down. Between your ski tips at the town below. And ironically, the only building big enough to make out from over 2 miles away is the hospital. I share with you, up to this moment, I had been dreaming my entire life about getting to Kitzbuhel, and now I was finally in Kitzbuhel. I didn't really want to be here.
And I, as a young man, had to admit that I had a fear. And more important than the fear was my reaction to the fear was not serving me. Was I going to take this chance? If I was, I needed to develop a better response and a better reaction to fear. How could I do that? Looked at different ways and actually hatched a pretty simple plan. After that moment, every time when we went out onto the mountain and started to hit a really fast, scary section, I trained myself, lunge forward, lunge forward. Every time we felt that fear, lunge forward, trying to retrain and recondition that response day in and day out, day in and day out. And that's when we set the world downhill speed record at 97 miles an hour.
We got to lunge into that fear because our prize is on the other side of our fear. We got to lunge in and grab that prize. For you, I just ask you right now in your role, what could you be lunging into? Is that lunging in and going for this new vision with compassion and conviction? Is it lunging forward and being an innovator? Coming up and giving those new ideas and presenting them and implementing them, not waiting for someone else? Is it lunging forward, having that difficult conversation, or stepping up to the plate to the next level? What could you be lunging into?
I just wrote a book recently called How to Win. Looking at it, and I came up with 5 winning secrets that we do in sport, and I think these are very confirmational to what you're doing here at Advocare as well. The first of those is really to pick our line. It's getting clarity, it's taking vision and then a decision and saying, that's what I'm going for. It's looking at getting that GPS out, going, yes, this is what I'm going for. Making a decision definitively, going for it. Then it takes lunging forward. This is really stepping out of our comfort zones. Rather than playing it safe, not putting the big toe in, but lunging forward completely. Going for it, doing what others maybe think is a little too risky, but taking those chances. Then being resilient. Business, sales, sport, life, we all need resilience. We got to get back up. I actually read a book recently called The Resilience Factor, where they studied top producers in an array of industries and actually found they didn't get knocked down any less. They just got back up faster. Get back in that game faster. And I want to make a qualifier about this. It's not redundant persistence, but adaptable persistence. Tweaking it that slight bit, learning and moving on, letting it go and lunge again. A philosophy you already know here at Advocare, but teamwork wins. Can't do it on our own. I was in an individual sport, yet really the longer I was at it, the more I realized it's a team. And embracing the expertise around us, thriving off of that, sharing best practices. And that's something you're here doing today and also for the last couple of days. Finally, a winning process, really looking for ways to improve and continually hone our skills, getting better. And I know that's something that you're strong at as well, continuous improvement. And I looked at what does that winning process involve in our sport, and I actually mapped it out. And I found that it starts with focus. Really, we focus on what we're doing every single day, looking at that, and then preparing our minds, our bodies, our equipment, getting ready to be able to then executing it. After the execution, taking some time to assess what worked, what didn't, what can we do to get even better. Coming out of each meeting that you might have, what can we do to tweak it a little bit for the next time? Then taking a little time to relax and rejuvenate so that we can recover. I call this a process for success, really a process for improving and honing our skills. One of the things we knew we were the best at on our team was the way we sailed through the air. In fact, the media had coined us the princes of air. They said, you guys are the best. We said, all right. Our competitor said, you guys are the best. We said, all right. I'll show you the technique of my teammate, Eddie Podominski, in the air here. You can see the nice, beautiful, compact, aerodynamic position in the air. Here's my other teammate, Brian Stemmel. Now I'm going to show you as I stand up here on the stage the position that most of our competitors used, and see if you can pick up the slight nuance and the difference of the position in the air. Literally, open flailing compared to nice, compact aerodynamic. One year we were in Buffalo doing wind tunnel testing. We found to our amazement as we started to test, we saw that this position, this was the slowest position you could do. This was faster than that. I don't know how many wind engineers there are in the room, but logically this seems superior. Yet what we'd done, we'd mastered an inferior technique. Here we were, executing the wrong thing perfectly. Great. By measuring beyond what seemed logical, we then saw specifically that's where we can improve. And once we saw that's where we can improve, that's what then prompted innovation. We were then able to come up with a new and a better way. You're the pros at what you do. I'm just encouraged to ask you the question, is there part of your process, or is there a technique for you that you could measure for even better results for you? My mom and dad actually love to tell a story of when I was a little 8-year-old kid. I was sitting in our family kitchen one day, and my mom walked in and she said, "Hey, Cary, where are your old ski boots?" And I said, "Well, they're down in the basement." And she and my dad walked down to the basement, and I followed them down, and I said, "Well, what are you going to do with my boots?" My mom said, "Well, we're going to give them to Justin down the way because he's just learning how to ski. And this way he won't need to buy new boots." I said, "Okay." I said, "But do you think when Justin's done with them, we can get them back?" My parents were sort of looking at me quizzically. "Well, why, Cary? They don't fit you anymore." And I said, well, someday the Hall of Fame is going to want my first ski boots. There's one last thing I want to share with you. It's something that I actually brought that my parents got back from Justin a couple years later. We got my first boots back. They're so little. I'm really pleased to have this one here today, and I'm honored and humbled to share with you that I only have the one here today because the other one's now on display at the Canadian Olympic Hall of Fame. The Canadian Olympic Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame. The Canadian Olympic Hall of Fame. It is possible. It is possible. Keep the dream alive, lunge forward, and follow your process to success. Good luck.